So you can kick it off.
Episode 70. I'll probably just keep all that stuff beforehand anyways. But anyways, episode 70. This is we got a very special guest, someone I've been listening to for a few months now and is fucking hilarious on Twitter and on podcasts. But you also do Twitch and well, first of all, at Wody-san. Do you still go by the push-up sensei, or is that a thing of the past?
No, it's just a thing of the past. I don't know. I got I said a bad word. A word I didn't know I was supposed to say on Twitter, and they just eliminated my ass. So Wody-san is good enough.
Oh, so did you get kicked off Twitter and you had to start a new one?
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Damn. 10,000 followers in the drain, but it's not really I only see the followers as a bad thing because I wanted to, do the Twitch, and it's just a better thing to transition when you got more people.
Sure.
But I'm not really a high fame guy, so 10,000 with the amount of mentions you get, it's not really that fun, to be honest.
I was thinking that like me and Dan have a fraction of that, and I'm like, damn, I fucking love Twitter. But then I think about what Tyler has to say, and he's like, I fucking hate Twitter because he's got to get so many stupid ass mentions out the ass like all the time. And I'm sure you get to that point too.
Even the backup ones, like if he retweets me, like the backup ones, I mean, even I'm like, holy shit, I don't like all these people, just like, because people they just say random stuff sometimes, or they may say like offensive stuff, or they may say just anything. So I'm not really into that. I kind of use social media just to, I don't know how I use social media. It's stupid how I use it, but I use it like most people. You follow people you agree with. I don't want to talk to people I don't agree with. It's not really something I'm into. I know there's a lot of like Reddit, people talk, they have conversations, but I like to have a conversation to get to the point where we can agree to disagree, but we're going to agree. Like, I don't want to argue.
Right. Yeah. So, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't feel like arguing.
Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, kind of getting right into it, bro. Couple questions about the NBA, because I know you're an avid follower and you talk about it a lot on your show.
Great
Thoughts
league.
on a couple transactions. First, the John Wall and Westbrook trade. What's your takeaway from that?
I mean, the Rockets did what they had to do. Westbrook wanted out, and with Washington, obviously John Wall wanted out, especially after the last video, him going full gang sign on us. It looks like the contracts match. I think they both could be close to between 40 and 42 a year. So I mean, that match up as well. And for Washington, it doesn't fix anything, because at some point Bradley Beal is going to want to go, because everybody at some point leaves Washington.
What's his contract situation like?
He just resigned last year.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, and it doesn't fucking matter.
Not that it matters anymore. 100%. Like, there's nothing more relevant in the past 2 or 3 years than NBA contracts. Like, it's so silly. Like all like to talk about James Harden. Like, they're treating James Harden like he's a free agent. Like, here's his preferred destinations. Here's who's going to sign him. It's like, no, he's employed by the Houston Rockets. Like, they have to make the decision.
Yeah, you got like 3 years left. It's hilarious.
Yeah, like, no big deal. It's silly. It's crazy.
I think what people see with Harden, we see the last 8 years, and we think like, oh, he served his last 8 years. Like, no, son, he got another 2-3 years.
Yeah,
he's actually under contract for us. So I think we think of the last 8, and I understand that he wants to go, but you just resign.
Yeah,
and
that's not how it works, James.
Every trade that they've made is obviously his word makes it, because you don't get Dwight Howard and you don't trade Dwight Howard without him approving both of those.
Yep.
You don't bring in Chris Paul, and you definitely don't trade Chris Paul within 2 years without him approving that. Obviously, the push for Westbrook was him saying, go get Westbrook, because they could have figured out some other trades.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you left out Chandler Parsons.
Another big acquisition. I mean, what else is
Chandler Parsons and Trevor Ariza?
I would hope they brought that up in like a business discussion with James Harden. Like, dude, we brought you Chris Paul, we brought you Dwight Howard, we brought you Russell Westbrook. For Christ's sakes, James, you brought you Chandler Parsons. What else do you want us to do? There's only so many elite players in the league.
And he still has House. He still, I was about to say Phillip Rivers, Austin Rivers. He might as well be Phillip Rivers. And who else is there? They traded Covington. Yeah. I mean, they picked up a good starting lineup.
Sure.
I'm sure he wanted Eric Gordon, who's been like a pretty good.
Oh, good point.
You don't like Eric Gordon because of what he did to you.
It's time for him to go. Yeah, it's time for him to go.
Oh, let's touch on that real quick. Can you tell the listeners? So, do you still live in Houston?
Yeah.
Oh, and you're originally from New Orleans, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us your relationship with the city of Houston and their sports teams, specifically the Rockets. How that came to be.
So I was here in Houston when they was trash, and they was giving out tickets for $6. But that's how all teams are. When a team is trash, they give out tickets. They did it with the Pelicans. Actually, they still do it with the Pelicans. I could probably give us and 6 more people all free tickets for just because they're giving them out. Well, probably not no more with Zion, but you never know. And just like the Astros at one point, when they were the Astros, when they were losing 400 games in 2 years or whatever it was, 400 games in 3 years, 2 years. I don't know baseball. I know they lost a lot.
Yeah.
Nobody went to the game, and they had to give out tickets. But then when people start to win, people show back up, and that's what I don't like. It's just my thing.
Got you.
You know, I'm not a Saints fan, but when they was wearing plastic bags on their head, the Superdome was still packed with people with brown paper bags on their head. The Buffalo Bills have been trash our entire lives. They're still jumping off tables and powerbombing tables every single week.
Their own children, women and children.
Women and children, whoever can get it. In every city they in your city or my city, their city.
That's actually a really good point. Like, that's not just a home thing. Like, they travel very well.
They travel very well.
There's 16 games a year, 100%.
Cleveland Browns. The games are packed. The games were packed years before. Maybe because there's nothing else to do in Cleveland on a Sunday. But it's the bandwagon part. I don't like the bandwagon part. And especially when you bandwagon your own city's team. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's your city. Like, it shouldn't matter.
Right.
So when did you move to Houston?
Katrina, 2005.
Okay, yeah. So
I've been there a long time.
So that's a shitty Rockets team. So did you move to Houston with intentions of like going to games and following these teams, or is this just something you observed?
Hell no, not at all.
I never understood that either. I feel like it's either like, and I've always said this, like I've lived within an hour of where I was born my entire life. So I've always been a New England fan, but I think there's something about like those fans of other teams, like in your hometown from another hometown, you know what I mean? Because then it's like, they're legit fans. They're not just like, hey, I grew up in New England, so I like the Red Sox and the Celtics and blah, blah, blah. But there's also other people who move to like California, and then 2 years later, they're decked out in like Lakers gear and Clippers gear and stuff like that. And like, that's just as bad. Like, that's the same shit.
They couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to put on They couldn't wait to put on the purple and gold. They couldn't wait, to be honest with you.
I don't know. It's interesting. So who do you follow? Like, who are your, like, from a fan's perspective, are you a New Orleans guy? Like Saints, Pelicans?
Just the Pelicans. Just the Pelicans. I'm not a Saints guy. It's Carolina Panthers. I chose to be a Carolina Panther a long time ago when they first started, actually. So that's like 94, 95, or whenever that was. I just never was a Saints fan. I was a kid. I never was a Saints fan. And it was more or less me. It's probably me trying to be different. Everybody's a Saints fan, so I wanted to be something different. Yeah. So I decided to choose the Carolina fucking Panthers. I should have probably chose the 49ers at that time, but they were winning. So that's like jumping on a bandwagon. So even back then, I had the same bandwagon mindset, even if like 4 years old. I still didn't do it. But yeah, it's always been Panthers, and football is kind of in and out for me. But yeah, it's always been Pelicans, Hornets, anything in between.
Oh yeah,
I haven't been a huge basketball guy until like officially the Pelicans. Because I just would watch games, but now I'm just starting to rep it a lot more and do everything actual fan shit now. But Panthers has always been since I've been a kid.
We would like to apologize sincerely for our second Super Bowl from the bottom of my heart.
Shout out Jake Malone.
So do you have like vivid memories of watching that?
Yes, I have vivid memories of me almost throwing out let me fix my shit. Almost thrown out a whole TV out the window. And I do remember that.
I remember Ricky Prohl. Was it Ricky Prohl or some like slot white guy who like tied the game or made it close at the end? And I was like, oh god, here we go again.
No, it was Ricky Prohl.
It might have been
because I always get McCaffrey and Ricky Prohl. Well, with the Wes Welker, short white dude.
Yes.
Syndrome I have.
Very interchangeable.
Yeah. Amendola, all these guys are like,
I'm convinced they're all the same person.
His son Chad Beebe, it's all the same guy.
Yeah. That was an interesting era of Panther football.
How did the final drive set up for the Patriots? Was there like a big penalty or some shit? I honestly don't remember.
I don't remember.
And I'm not trying to like twist the knife in you right now.
You're definitely twisting the knife. It's John Casey illegal procedure. Remember he kicked the illegal procedure at the end?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think Tom Brady had to get 10 yards.
Yeah.
15 yards to get to the field goal, which for Tom Brady is,
man,
you might as well just put the field goal in yourself. It could have been 80 yards. I think he would have still got it because it's just Tom Brady.
I think he hit Deion Branch, right? I want to say because he ended up being the MVP of that game.
I remember who it was.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was. Man. But I remember that game. I was mad. I think that was Rodney Harrison. He got a sack. And he spit in was that Kerry Collins? No, Jake Delhomme. He spit in his face.
Yeah.
He got a sack and it spit in his face. And it was on national TV. And it was going to commercial. And it was going to commercial. You see Rodney Harrison spitting in Jake Delhomme's face. No call, no nothing.
Yeah.
And
let him play, I say.
I knew we was gonna lose after
that. You don't win after that.
I knew we was gonna lose. I knew it was done.
It's probably better they went to commercial because if that was like middle of like no huddle offense, I don't think there's anything more demoralizing than like Jake Delhomme getting up on camera, like wiping spit off his eyes, getting back under the center.
As it's slow motion going away, I see the spit dropping from Rodney Harrison's helmet right into Jake Delhomme's like nasal cavity. It's one of the worst things ever. And it was either Jake Delhomme or it was Steve Smith. I just know he hit somebody real hard. And dislike Rodney Harrison since then. And definitely not at all would ever be close to being a Patriots fan. One of the worst teams ever.
Hey, totally understood. Right. I know you said that on one of your episodes too. I think it was after.
Extremely understood.
After they lost to the Eagles and you're like, yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm happy that the Eagles won and the Patriots lost, but it doesn't fucking matter because the next year they're probably going to be right back. And lo and behold, they were right back.
People have this syndrome, right? So I dislike the Patriots even to this day, but there's always a year where everybody thinks Tom Brady is washed up. And this has been happening since 2011 or 7. It could be 7 or 9. Whenever Castle came in, I think that was 11. Where everybody thinks Brady is just done. And we do a good 3 or 4 week, well, not we, ESPN. They do a good 3 or 4 week thing where Tom Brady's washed. It's time to move on. It's the coach, not the quarterback. And then a second string come in, they throw for 4 touchdowns. And they say, oh, it's time to move on. Matt Castle did that when he had the season where they didn't go to the playoffs, but it was a successful enough season. I remember Garoppolo. Which Super Bowl was this? It was the Rams year at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I think y'all getting blown out by the Chiefs.
Yep. Oh, yep.
And I think you would lose by like 5 touchdowns. And as soon as Garoppolo came in, he threw a touchdown. And usually when you see that, you're like, oh shit, all right, it's time to move on with the quarterback. Obviously that wasn't the case. And I don't know if that's the same year as the Pizzagate, but I know is that the Pizzagate year, the Rams year? When they took the picks from y'all and then they were still won the Super Bowl?
That was
cell phone gate. I'm sorry.
Oh, that one. I don't know, because the Chiefs year, I think, was the Seahawks year. That seemed a while back. No way that was as recent as the Rams year. Or maybe the Falcons year. I don't know. But to your point, it's totally dude, it happened 6 hours ago. Brady threw a couple bad throws today and he was getting roasted on Twitter. Then he hits, like always, undersized white slot receiver for 50-yard touchdown, and then going to win by like 20. Like they're going. I don't know.
Is it Scott? Is it
Scotty Miller?
Yeah. How? Like
that's what he does.
You know, I've been doing like DraftKings and kind of gambling a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I saw Godwin and Evans have been hurt. And then AB wasn't there yet. Yeah. And Gronk is kind of mostly blocking, doing his thing. And I seen Scotty Miller with like 114 yards receiving. And I'm like, who the fuck is Scotty Miller?
They're all the same guy. They're all going to the Hall of Fame.
He does better with nondescript, besides Morse. It's just nondescript receivers. It seems to do better with because he has AB, Evans, and Godwin. But if you look at their stats are not amazing stats for them being three, really good receivers.
Correct.
I don't know.
He has a type. He certainly does.
He definitely has a damn. Besides a 6'4", 4'3" running wide receiver.
Yeah.
He definitely has a damn type. Yeah.
That's a really good point because Randy Moss is an outlier for obvious reasons. Like if you have Randy Moss on your team, how do you not throw to him? Everything else, I'm trying to think. Like even Patriots years, I don't remember like a legit wide side of the field receiver. Wes Welker slot, Amendola slot, even James White's a fucking running back. Who were like the wide side of the like? It's like Deion Branch, Malcolm Mitchell,
Troy Brown, Rashae Caldwell.
I'm not saying there's any patterns here with
Dante Stallworth.
With optics,
so obviously, but the one flaw in Belichick is a wide receiver. He can't draft receivers, right? Because it's been 20 years.
Yeah,
he can't draft for. He don't know how to draft receivers because for 20 years it can't be mistake after mistake because he brings in good defensive players, good tight ends, of course, mid-tier running backs, and the running backs are not.
He's been hot with backs lately, but no, you're right. It's the one flaw. Well, maybe not one, but it's definitely a flaw in his 20-year thing. They just had it on. I think it was the Rams game. They showed a graphic of the Patriots receivers taken the last 10 years. I'm pretty sure 8 out of the 10 are not in the league, and the other 2 stink. Like there's not even a glimmer of hope. And we've talked about it before on our show. Their most recent pick, N'Keal Harry, was in the draft class 2 years ago. He was a number 1 receiver taking that class. And it's extremely depressing as a Patriots fan to look at that draft class. N'Keal Harry goes 1, and then everyone after him is substantially better. It's like that was like DK's draft, Deebo Samuel, AJ Brown. Like it's just like, what are we doing? Like how do you it's not even a miss. That's like a wide open whiff. Because at this point, he's not an NFL player. Like it's been way too long.
And didn't y'all give up a second for Sanu last year?
Oh, jeez, Louise.
Because that second, with all the wide receivers that came out, Jefferson and Rager. I mean, it's a lot of receivers that came out.
I never thought of it in that regard. That's beyond discerning. Yeah. I don't think Mohamed Sanu. I literally don't remember him on the field contributing.
No, I don't either.
I don't know if he scored.
There was one decent game he had. It was against the Ravens.
Okay, that's not a good benchmark though.
I think he had a red zone touchdown, but nothing.
Okay, well,
nothing crazy.
Balances out then, but no, it is.
You think like what is it? Do wide receivers just not know the system? Because when Ocho Cinco went over, he didn't get it either.
Right,
and he's one of the greatest route running. He couldn't get the Patriots' playbook at all the entire year.
Yeah,
you know what you're saying about how every year people try to write off Brady, and it's like, no, you're in denial because he's still going to come back. That's what Patriots fans were doing in reverse for Ocho Cinco that year.
Yeah,
it was like, bro, it was like game 10, and he'd have 2 catches for like 4 yards, and I was like, I think he's gonna get it. I think he's almost there. He ran a good route.
N'Keal Harry too. Right. And that's why I said again, I think Randy Moss is just the epitome of an outlier where no matter how hard the system is, you can always say, all right, Randy, just run as far and as fast as you can, and we'll figure it out. And that's where the majority of his numbers came from. Like you don't even need a playbook to work with Randy Moss. But that's a very good point. Because I mean, he was towards the end of his career, no, Ocho? But he was still operating. He came off of a good year in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
it's not like he came off like an ACL injury or some shit like that.
Well, those Cincinnati years is a little weird for Ocho too, because I think the last year he was there, T.O. was there, and T.O.
Oh,
led that
yes.
team in like yards and
Yes.
touchdowns and everything.
Yeah.
And that was
an
a
interesting team.
super. I wouldn't say a washed T.O. because I don't know what a washed T.O. is. He definitely not even washed right now.
Right.
He's 50 years old. He looks physically better than all of us at 50.
I would take him on the Patriots right now.
I think he's still doing. I think he's still doing crunches in his driveway, waiting for a camera to show up.
Yeah.
Did y'all see the video when he's still running like 4.3? He's running like a 4.3, 4.4 and all this stuff?
Yeah, those come out all the time. It's weird.
Damn.
Like ex-athletes, every now and then one will come out of them just working out. And it's like, all right, I know this guy can't play in the league, but this guy could probably play in the league.
Yeah. And he's 46. And he's still running a 4.3, running a 4.4, you know, at 46 years old.
Gotcha.
And I don't know. I guess that's just the Patriots thing. It's just wide receivers. Wide receivers is just not their thing. And,
yeah, we'll figure it out.
It should have been.
So are you a Cam Newton guy?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think even though he hasn't had a great season, I think it's a lot of things that's going on to where he hasn't had a great season. One of the things is on him. His arm, his decision making. I don't think he fully gets the Patriots offense at this point either. But with no weapons, I mean, what is he really planning on doing?
I agree.
Like, nobody's actually open.
Right. And to your point, I mean, this is the first time a quarterback's had to learn this system in 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without an off season, without a preseason, he was signed like July. It's like, I'm actually, before he got, I think there's a pretty clear turning point between pre and post COVID. And I don't know if COVID's the reason. I think it just happens to line up when he missed time. But it's, you know what I mean? It's like the beginning of the season, he showed signs that, hey, like I can at least compete this season and put us in a position to win. The first few games off COVID were obviously like just like not good enough to be in the NFL. But unfortunately, at this point, it's too late. You know, they'll probably finish right on the edge of the playoff bubble. And at this point, I don't think he's coming back to New England next year.
No, I don't think so.
And it sucks because I don't think he had an opportunity to at least put together a resume to get a contract next year. I don't think this year really helped his case, you know what I mean, as far as getting money next year. So we'll see.
And with all the backups that's in the league right now and most of the starters, he's probably better than Steele most of them. And I thought it was kind of crazy that he didn't get a legit chance to actually get.
Right. Me too.
I mean, how many terrible teams are there? So
yeah.
Unfortunately, with him not being able to get a good chance, and then him not having a great season, it's gonna make it even worse for him next year.
Yeah, I agree. Which is kind of sad.
Because the Bears are still gonna need his team, still need a quarterback. The Vikings are still gonna need a quarterback. Yeah. I mean, pretty much like 20 teams are probably still gonna need a quarterback. And it will probably stay with Colt McCoy and Mike Glennon.
Right.
Sam Bradford.
Bradford. And
I remember specifically over the summer there, because I think we mentioned on the show, there was a time where Mike Glennon signed a contract and Cam Newton was still unemployed.
Yeah, he started right now. Like, he just started the last 3 games for the Jaguars.
Yeah,
because they don't want to bring Minshew back out.
Yeah, he got benched today. I'm pretty sure. Finally, I don't know what he did to Glennon. Yeah.
Okay.
But still, it's not a good thing for either party. But yeah, I don't know.
Minshew get hurt and they put Luton in, and then Luton he has one good game and then he throws a bunch of picks. And they put Glennon in and he has a good game and he throws a bunch of picks.
Yeah. I think there should be a rule where, like, if you're bad enough, you should be able to just like opt out of the last like 2 or 3 games of the season. Like, there's no reason for the Jaguars to keep playing football. No. Jaguars, Bengals, Jets.
Yeah.
And even maybe on the other side, like if you've clinched your division, like the Chiefs clinched their division today, I think you should have the option to take the week off. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't want to bye a week. I don't know. It's not my decision to make, but
it's just all, the intricacies and, spot 7, spot 2, spot 3, all that crap.
That's true. So for the bad teams, then definitely. I said the same thing about the NBA bubble. It's like, there's no reason why the Washington Wizards should have traveled to Orlando. There's no reason. Like, it's so, in fact, you probably could have cut out The East could have gotten away with 6 seeds in the playoffs. Like the Magic, who was a 7 seed? Pistons? No.
Charlotte, maybe?
Nets? Did the Nets get in?
No, I thought the Nets was higher than 7.
No, Nets were in there. They might have been. Oh, Philly was 6. So yeah, Nets and Magic. They did not need to travel there.
Jesus.
I think so, because we played Celtics were 3, right? And they played Philly in the first round.
It was, damn.
Yeah. But it's like we're in at that point was the peak of a pandemic. I'm not going to see my family for a month. Do I really need to be here? Like, unless it's purely financial, like y'all really like NBA TV really needs me to be on TV right now for your rating. Is anyone tuning into fucking a Blazers Wizards playing game on a Thursday at noon? Like, come on.
And the weirdest thing about the bubble was it was obvious that a lot of people didn't want to be there.
Hell, I don't blame them. That's exactly what I mean.
It was obvious that most players wasn't working out.
No.
Because besides the people who stood ready, like Miami, obviously. I think Phoenix stood ready. I think they were in basketball shape.
Yeah.
I still think they suck. Well, with Chris Paul, they probably won't.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're as good as what they showed in the bubble. I think they were like 11-1 or 11-0.
They went 8-0, right? And missed
they were undefeated, right?
Yeah.
I just thought that because they were just ready. That's why that happened.
Yeah.
The Lakers were obviously ready. And I think everybody on the Clippers voted to not even come to the bubble at all. So
that makes sense.
LeBron would have you think. Sorry, go ahead, Woody.
No, I mean, I don't know what kind of.
I remember the Clippers were one of the teams that voted. I think it came out that they were the ones that voted they didn't want to play after the protest, like after the initial protest, which came to fruition. They really didn't play after the protest, but I don't know. It was a strange couple of months.
I wanted to kind of transition into the LeBron, the Bron thing of what Bron said.
Yeah,
but I just don't know what kind of bubble is it. Obviously, I didn't fucking play in it. I just watched it. But
same.
They're not traveling. You're in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
You come to and from the games instantly. There's no in between.
Right.
Dame was saying that it's easier to play. I guess it's easier to score. There's no distractions. But Bron kind of said the opposite is with it being the hardest thing. You wait for your family, et cetera, but they're away from their family the entire year pretty much anyway, right? For the most part.
Right. But I think Bron also really said those things after they won the championship, right?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
It's weird how he timed that. I don't know. That was coincidence, really I'm guessing.
He's missed the narrative. Just like he tried to do after the 16 one when he said, "Oh, that made me the GOAT," because he won the 16 one. I thought it's probably one of the most impressive championships of all time.
Sure,
but you can't call yourself the GOAT. It just doesn't.
Very true.
You can't just this championship deemed me the GOAT. I mean, you still 5-6, 4-6 in championships.
4 and 6. Yep. No.
Going 10 times is a lot of fucking times. I'll be honest with y'all. 10 is for one person to go 10. It's extremely impressive.
Yeah.
But 4 and 6 is not really extremely impressive. So, do you give them a pass for being 4 and 6 because you went 10 times? Like, does it just become great and then that's it?
I don't think so, bro. And especially with like a point that you brought up before, which is that one of the finals that he lost to the Spurs was the biggest deficit in the 2014 Heat when it was the rematch with the Spurs. That was the biggest deficit of a finals loss in NBA history. And he was on that big three, which, Wade and Bosch were like a little older, but they were still serviceable enough to get to the finals. And then they got fucking waxed.
And they broke up instantly right after that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that the series where he had the cramps or whatever in the first game?
No, he had him in both series.
Yeah, I remember that. He had
him in both.
It's funny. Again, he times that stuff, or the coincidences that happen with LeBron are crazy. But I also think
I was gonna say, didn't it come out that there were stories about that they were accused of like cranking up the heat or something like in the arena? like to give him cramps?
Because they played in was it in San Antonio?
I would assume so. I don't think he would complain about it if it was at home.
Yeah, it was in San Antonio, and then the AC broke.
Yeah, that's what it was. The AC broke, and
I remember they were saying he was cramping because he has no body fat, and people with no body fat, they cramps are a lot worse. I'm not fucking Bill Nye, but you know,
it's a weird flex.
Having cramps and sitting out several minutes or even a game in the finals is kind of crazy. You know, if you think about it, when all the other players, I don't know how long he set out. I know he set out a significant amount of minutes.
It's enough to be a story. Yeah.
Yeah, it's enough to be a story. Because I remember inside the NBA when Barkley was making jokes about it. That's how I remember. Because he had a bucket and he was raising an air conditioning fund for San Antonio. He was making fun of their women and all that stuff. I remember that game. I remember that series.
Yeah, me too.
Both of them though. It was definitely
man, that was good shit. It's funny, like go ahead, so my bad.
I was just gonna say there's a pretty specific video where when he started cramping up, the play went in the other direction and he's just like wincing under the hoop, didn't even make it across half court. And you know him, bro, like he fucking hams it up.
Yeah.
Yes,
big time spam.
He's an actor.
Spam James.
Yeah. He has those moments.
Was that one where they literally like picked him up by both legs and like walked him off the court, or am I making that up? Like, what are we doing? Come on. Like, you'd think he like got paralyzed like mid-game, and they literally have one arm under each leg carrying him off the court.
He has these moments I've never seen with superstars where you can physically see that he's not into the game anymore. When he's checked out. And like when they lost the last time to the Warriors, when he started dapping everybody up, you could tell he was like, all right, fuck this.
Oh yeah.
How to get my ass whooped. It's time to roll.
Yep.
And I just never physically seen that in any player where, you know, when it's time to check out, you could just see it in his face.
Yeah. It's good. So
I was just gonna say, imagine if whatever that was, game 5. I think they got gentleman sweep like multiple.
I thought
times.
They got swept.
Maybe they did. It's like before the game's over, he's got an Instagram post already thanking the city of Cleveland.
My next move, ready to go. Yep. ESPN's already teasing the decision 2.0 on their ticker.
He's a small cat. Like when they had the note when he was going back to Cleveland, when he was going back and Wiggins wasn't in it, so we already knew Wiggins was gone before we even. You know, before we even knew he was coming, we knew the decision was made for Wiggins to roll out. Yeah, and I mean, what happens to Wiggins? What happens to the #1 draft pick that was supposed to go to Cleveland, and it was going to be his team along with Kyrie and some other people, and all of a sudden you traded to Minnesota of all fucking places, and when Minnesota doesn't work, and he winds up with Golden State Warriors, but. You know, what happened to those players? What happens to your psyche when you automatically traded?
What do you think he was thinking when he was reading that article? And he was just like, there must be a typo here because I don't see my fucking name.
And everybody in there, but when everybody's in there by name, it makes it even worse. If he just said Cleveland, you know, it is what it is. But that's why I think it was an effort to not put Wiggins' name in there. Yeah, and that's the stuff I don't like.
Well, it's similar. The Lakers one was almost even worse. Like his first year with the Lakers, that was in the middle of the season. He was like, I want these guys by name traded, or I'm probably going to not sign here long term. Yeah. And then they traded them all. They traded them to the Pelicans of all places. Like we joked about this with someone, I think with Tyler. Like they literally traded the Lakers, or no, for Anthony Davis, my bad, not for LeBron, but still. They literally traded the Lakers for Anthony Davis. Like any notable player from that Lakers team besides LeBron was part of that trade. And it worked out, obviously. Correct.
Won,
and it is what it is, but it's like that, and it sucks too, because like they're not good enough to really, you know, like, hey, like we're gonna get his ass when we go to LA this year. Probably not yet at least, but it's just it's kind of how we started the conversation. It's like the fluidity of NBA. Like people say it's a players' league now. It's almost to a point where it's like. It's a little disrespectful to like the guys who are literally employed to make these decisions.
Yeah, it's going to.
Why am I even here? You know, why do you need a GM if you're just going to do what the fuck LeBron tells you to do?
Yeah.
And sign the papers. And that's it. But I don't know. But let's do this. Let's transition a little bit to a little more current day. So a couple things. I know we already mentioned the John Wall trade. The other thing that I wanted to get your take on, I think it's just a hilarious story, is just some of the Clippers drama coming out. And you guys might know the story. I know, like, which one, but you guys might know the story better than I do. But I thought the story that came out about Paul George and Kawhi Leonard getting, all I saw was just special treatment in special locker rooms and shit. Do you know details of what that actually meant, or is that part of the story? Like, it's that cryptic?
Yeah, it was just them getting their own locker room treatment and them taking games off whenever they wanted to, mostly Kawhi. But I'm pretty sure that was already established before Kawhi even got there, that Kawhi needed time off. And Kawhi needed games off. To me,
I knew. Time off, yeah, everyone knew that narrative. But the other, I don't know. Maybe this is where my mind went. But when I heard the way they worded the article was like special treatment in a female, like the female locker room or like the female training room. My first thought was like, these guys have like strippers coming to a separate room.
Jesus Christ, they're getting pulled off in there. Jesus.
And understandably, they might need a couple days off. They might need to recharge the batteries a little bit. But it's just such a weird, I think Kawhi is great, but he is climbing the ranks as I think an all-time just weird dude, like in the NBA. Like, he's just a weirdo.
The more I see stuff about Kawhi's uncle and all the demands that they made to get out of Toronto, and they want a piece of ownership. And look, I understand it, because if LeBron can get away with it, because LeBron is doing that, then why not ask?
Yeah,
sure.
But Toronto wasn't going for something like that, and it looks like the Clippers seem to be going for stuff like that. I think the owner has more than enough money to not even care that a superstar gets to take a couple games off, because it didn't matter in Toronto. I mean, he played 60 games maybe for Toronto. And he played injured throughout the entire playoffs, and they still not dominated, but they won. They beat Golden State, injured Golden State, but they still won a championship. Now, and at no part, if any of our life, could we have thought that Toronto would be winning the championship.
No, it was very surprising.
So the special treatment thing, I understand it. He's Kawhi. Paul George special treatment, I don't understand that. He's Paul George. We're not going to go that route. If Kawhi wants to sit some games off, I just saw him play hobbled and beat Philly and beat Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And he was clearly injured. He was limping back to the bench.
Right.
And Paul George didn't do any of that at any time.
No. Paul George was more healthy and less productive. So yes, I think that's a fair ask. But yeah, I think he's just, I don't know. I've never really had a strong opinion on Paul George. I guess before last year, good player, not really a Paul George fan or a Paul George hater, but just the bubble just exposed so many people, because there's nothing else to focus on. There's really there's no crowd. It seemed like there was less media just because the media interviews were so kind of strange with Zoom and whatever. But I don't know. It was very, very interesting to see Paul George sign for literally the highest amount of money he could legally sign for.
That's why I think the owner just don't care. It's just about keeping players happy and staying out the way and bringing as many star players as you can. Because bringing in more star players, of course, means you have a better chance to win it. Yeah. I mean, you can look at the Lakers roster and see that they have 2 of the top 5 players in the league easily. But pretty much everybody else on there is not even top 50 in the league. So if you can win with 2 dominant players and really a bunch of super role players, like Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams, Pat Beverly, are much higher level role players than Jared Dudley, of course, and a lot of these cats like that. So that's what made the Clippers loss even worse to me, because there's no way you can have these caliber role players. They're the best role players.
Definitely. Yeah.
And you lose to the Nuggets down from 3-1. It's not
a great look.
Not a great look at all, and it's even worse because I hate the Lakers. Then it made it look real easy, and it looks like LeBron has the mental Jordan edge, where it looks like they're just scared to play against him. To me, it looks like they're scared to compete against LeBron, and AD gets the confidence off of that. When he sees they're scared, because when they're scared against LeBron, they're gonna be scared against everybody. And it seems as though AD is getting that confidence that makes him dominate. His stats are I think he had every statistically he was better in everything except assists than LeBron. So it's definitely his team as well. But you can tell in the clutch time when it's time to close, that kicks in for LeBron. He takes over. But it really looks like everybody is just scared of LeBron, to be quite honest. The Rockets were scared. They quit the game before the elimination game.
Yeah, that was a bullshit series.
Which is
which
is hilarious. That you quit before the elimination game. I don't know. It to me it seems like people are running scared, and the West is not. The West doesn't look any more dangerous than it did last year. It looks weak, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's gotten worse. I mean, you lost KD, you lost Westbrook. Who else?
You lost the Rockets, you lost the Warriors.
You lost the Rockets. Good point. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So you come back with the Nuggets. What's the healthy squads that's coming back full from last year? The Nuggets, Utah, Phoenix gonna be a little bit better. Dallas, Portland, but none of those teams are.
No, they're not going to beat anyone in LA.
Lakers, right?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've said this before. I think the most intriguing team this year, obviously for me, is the Nets. I just want to see what they look like. And I don't know if you guys saw it today. I was just going. I know they had a preseason game today, and oh my god, I'd like to bring this up too. I was saying this the other day. It's crazy, like how different the hype between NFL preseason and NBA preseason is nowadays. Like NFL preseason is just it's widely conceived as a joke. We don't need these games. The stats don't matter. Whatever. LaMelo Ball has 3 assists in a preseason game, and he's Magic Johnson. Like Kevin Durant 9 points today, and like it's MVP time. It's like it's crazy. Like actually, not for nothing. Same thing in the bubble. Like remember they had those like scrimmage games in the bubble, and they were on NBA TV. It's like, what are we doing?
Bol was about to be the rookie of the year.
No shit, dude. It's like Bol is turned into Hakeem Olajuwon like overnight. And
Michael Porter Jr. was Michael Jordan.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, I'm intrigued to see the Nets just because from a pure chemistry logistics standpoint, and not to mention the Harden factor. Because I feel like the longer preseason goes without Harden making a move, like the more uncomfortable it's going to be. Yeah. Unless like a clear narrative comes out, like unless literally Steve Nash or whoever comes out and says like, we're not interested in James Harden. Great, let's move on. But until then, it's going to be really uncomfortable for that team, for a team who I don't think can handle uncomfortableness, you know, like Kyrie especially. But anyway, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be, I mean, I'm extremely excited for this season. Fans or no fans. Like I think there's a lot of storylines that I think the short off season helped too. Cause it's like, dude, like I remember like yesterday watching Lakers Heat games in the finals. Literally what, 2 or 3 months ago, it felt like 2 weeks ago. So we'll see. Like usually like if you end the season with like some bad blood or whatever, the off season's long enough where you can squash it. Now it's almost like a brief like intermission and like we're picking the shit right back up in like a week or two. So I don't know. We'll see. But so my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I know you wanted to transition to something.
No, I want to talk about Wodie's team, the Pelicans. First of all, a couple days ago, I saw that you tweeted Ingram greater than Tatum. So my first question is, do you typically tweet when you're drunk, or is that like a one-time thing?
Yes. I took several shots of Everclear and I put that out there. Look, I know he's not better. I know he's not better, but I got to put that out there I got to put it out there just to show some respect to the Pelicans. Let them know we're coming.
Did he win most improved player or no?
Yes.
Yep. He did, right? He had a great season. Like, he's not a bum.
He was definitely, to go back to Houston, highest in the room when he accepted the award too. Did you see that video?
I seen it.
Bro, he was on Pluto when he accepted that award. And I think it was on,
I didn't see that.
I think they put it on Inside the NBA, and it was just such a joke because, bro, it didn't even look like he was fully aware of what he was accepting.
He's always like that, dude. He must be like, he must keep an edible or something, like some gummy bears in his pocket. He's always looking like that. I don't know what's up with him. Even
the waiters pack.
See, that's why they got to legalize it, because they're like, yo, if Dion Waiters want to OD on a plane, if you want to sleep with 16 hours, just let him. You know, they have to suspend him, they have to do all this. But
our legal team can't keep up with this anymore.
Well, if it's becoming legal everywhere, then you might as well just, you know.
Yeah.
And these dudes is rich anyway, and you have franchises in the states that legalize it. So, you know, you might as well just, you know, why penalize them for something that's legal? You don't do it with alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's no harm. So, like, just fucking, it's 2020. They're acting like, the way people treated cigarettes in the 50s when people didn't know it was bad. It's
Good
like
point.
The reverse. Weed is not bad. Let's just fucking get it over with and make it like not a thing anymore. It's crazy.
Well, it's like the guys on all the smoke guys, Matt Barnes and Steven Jack, they talk all the time. Like they'll pump you full of every pill they can possibly give you. Yeah. But you take a piss test with a little bit of THC, like you're popped for 10 games minimum, which is silly. Like it's crazy. NFL is even worse, obviously, because it's a higher impact sport, but it's the same theory. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, they're not doing any drug testing this year, so it's free for all.
Ingram got those. I used to think that T-Mac, like in his prime, had the sleepiest eyes. Ingram's got the sleep. Ingram has the sleepiest eyes in the league. No.
Well, T-Mac got two problems. They're sleepy and they're a little, you know, they're a little loopy too. So they look even crazy when they're low and looking both ways. They look a little crazy. But Ingram got it. Like, let's get into Ingram, right? Let's get into Tatum too, because I like Tatum. I really like Tatum. I thought Tatum was the truth since he boomed on LeBron, since he just dunked on LeBron in the playoffs. Because, and it's not even dunking on LeBron, right? It's just the intensity he showed after when he kind of pushed off him. I was like, okay, he has the dog in him, because you don't see a lot of the dog in a lot of players. You see it in Westbrook every single game. You see it in Ja Morant. You see it in Tatum. You see it in Tyler Hero. You see it in Bam. You just see that they're just there to play. You know, that it's not there for anything else except the hoop. And I think you start to see that with Ingram. I think he started to look a lot more comfortable with them without Zion. I think he's gonna have a bigger role now with us not having Drew. But they also got to take on more defensively without us having Drew, because Drew was the defense. Whatever little bit of defense we had, it was only Drew, because our defense crashed toward the end. So they're really gonna have to adjust.
Yeah. Did you going into the bubble? Were you pretty confident about the Pelicans making the 8th seed or no? Really?
No.
I thought they were. Gonna happen. Yeah. I thought they were. I remember the schedules came out, and the Pelicans had a pretty cake schedule, and the Grizzlies, I remember, was like pretty tough, but still got to win the games. So
you know. I knew it was too easy when I saw the schedule. It's like nothing. You know, it's never too easy for me. For the New Orleans basketball fans, we don't get it this easy. So I figured somebody was going to be hurt or out of shape, and it looked like it was a little bit of everything. And because to me it seemed like the bubble was only there. They only made the bubble for two teams, us and the Lakers.
Good point.
And it don't look like the Lakers wanted to be there. So yeah, I knew, you know, Zion didn't even have a haircut, so I already knew what was going on. He had a nappy fro, a flat top or whatever. You come in there with no cut, then you know you're not even prepared to do nothing. So pandemic, they're rich, they can still get ballers. That don't matter. But
he needed a barber to cut all the fat out of his diet.
Good one. Had a little baby fat on him. A little baby fat on him.
You know, is this the only time we've ever seen this with any superstar player when their shape or their diet, besides this young? Shaq was way further along.
Yeah.
Because by the time Shaq got with the Lakers, he was already like year 9, year 8. No, well, it was
something like that. A little before that, but I
think he got there like 98, right? So it probably was just 6 or 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
But he didn't have. He had tremendous weight issues because he was over 300, but he wasn't anything like this. This is a lot different. But this is your first year.
The only comparison I can think of is Chuck Barkley.
Maybe, but like they when they were drafted, when Shaq was drafted, he didn't look like Shaq on the Lakers. Yeah, like there was a clear climb there. And Zion is starting there. Like he was drafted heavy. Like Shaq, you watch Shaq on the Magic,
He's running.
He was a freak. Yeah, he was going full court. He was he was what Zion thinks he is, I think, or what people think Zion is. Zion is not Shaq in Orlando. No, not even close. Like he's physically and like, you know, talent-wise, but still like Shaq slowly but surely just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Zion kind of has to work backwards. I think Charles Barkley too. Charles Barkley wasn't a big dude in Philly, like when he was first drafted.
Well, they made him lose the weight when he got in because he was say he was 300.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And they made him get down to like 270.
That is fucking crazy. Like, I don't care how tall you are. 3 bills playing basketball is big. Yeah. Like that's tough. Playing 40 minutes a game at 3 bills.
3 bills, man. He was a fast motherfucker for 3 bills.
That's what I mean. It's extremely impressive.
Jeez.
And then people wonder why Shaq had knee problems his whole fucking career. Jumping up and down on 300 pounds.
Yeah. And Shaq's 7'3".
Yeah, exactly.
And even his prime weight, and I would say his Laker weight would be the prime weight. So he's probably like 310. And
that's large.
He was probably a little bit lower on for Phoenix because they made him get in shape. Yeah. And also Miami.
Yeah.
So he's probably
Miami definitely
approaching 300 in those, but I mean, it's still a lot of stress for a big person. We don't see a lot of tall people, you know, a lot of tall centers last that long.
No, they're skinny.
You know, Kareem is just a freak.
Yeah, no, any 7-footer now is a stick. It's it's Porzingis. It's, if you consider Durant right up there, it's like they're freakishly tiny.
Yeah.
Some might argue it's better for them.
Woody, so you've only lived in New Orleans and Houston your whole life, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've never been to New Orleans. I don't think, Dan, you haven't, right?
New Orleans? No.
Okay. So knowing that it is like such a party city, whatever, if it has that reputation, why do you think it hasn't become a hot spot for NBA free agents? Because like the guys like the nightlife, and unless there's something I don't know,
it's not that type of nightlife.
No.
Yeah, it's a different type of nightlife. And also, New Orleans is a football town. You know, there's some towns that's just football towns. New Orleans is a football town. It's not a basketball place. We've had basketball 3 times. We had the Jazz in the 70s, 80s. We lost that. We had the Hornets. We lost it. We got another one back. We're probably going to lose this one. This is just, it's a football town. The Dome runs the place. If Google Superdome and Smoothie King Center, the Superdome looks like it is 3 times as big as a Smoothie King Center. They're right next to each other. It looks 3 times bigger. It's just a football town. Some places just football town. Texas is a football state.
Yeah.
That's why they're so wishy-washy when it comes to other sports, basketball, baseball. With the Rangers, there's nothing to holler about anyway. But the Astros, they're winning now. But like I said before, when it wasn't winning, it was empty. In football, this may be even a football-only thing, where the fans are just more loyal whether they're winning or losing. I'm not sure. Well, in Boston, I mean, y'all was winning for the 2000s, but the 90s wasn't I guess late 90s wasn't a winning time.
No,
not at all.
But I'm sure the games were still packed because sometimes you're just a football or basketball town, or you just might be a sports town. LA is not a sports town at all for anything except the Lakers. Nobody likes to go to the Rams games. Nobody goes to the Chargers games. They do a little bit of baseball just because the Dodgers are winning. But I just think some towns are just football towns, sports towns. It's just like that.
That makes sense. Is it LSU down there too? Is LSU?
Yeah, but that's Baton
Rouge. New Orleans. That's Baton Rouge.
Yeah,
where's that in relation to New Orleans?
I mean, it's an hour away.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, college sports, the fanatics for college sports is a lot different, than anything else. Because I would say after NFL, the college football fanatics will probably be second as far as team loyalty. They're there whether they lose or not, and everything else. Basketball's, we're kind of fickle because we're more. It's more individuals. So like people, I used to watch bowl games all the time because I just want to see Jordan.
Right.
We see disgustingly grown people follow LeBron from jersey to jersey, which is, it's amazing to me that grown men can go from a Cleveland jersey to a Miami jersey, back to a Cleveland jersey, and then a Lakers jersey. Like you got 4 different types of jersey for one grown man. But we don't do that we don't do that in football. We don't do that in other sports. So I think it could be a basketball related thing. But New Orleans is not a basketball town.
What was the vibe like when y'all drafted Zion, or even when you found out you had the number 1 pick?
To me, I was excited. I mean, people were excited because they knew they could start going to games,
right?
Because nobody really went to see AD. It's probably another reason why he left. You know, a lot of our games was empty as shit too. I mean, there was excitement, but like I said, those games wasn't like packed either. Like those games wasn't sold out. The Zion games wasn't sold out. They're playing Milwaukee. The game wasn't sold out for Giannis. You know, they're playing LeBron. It's gonna be sold out for LeBron.
Yeah. Okay.
But no,
that makes sense.
It's just not that type of city.
Even like during the lottery, like it just felt like such a deflating like thing when the Pelicans got number 1 instead of who else, like the Knicks, or I don't even remember who else was in the lottery that year. But even like me as a general fan with no ties whatsoever, I was like, oh, it sucks. Like it would have been cool to see Zion in a big marketplace. Yeah. I would argue New Orleans is probably maybe not the last, but definitely the bottom 5 of like relevant, like, you know what I mean? Like household name franchises in the NBA. I don't think most people
need to sell a team.
Yeah. Seriously.
I think I could fix the Pelicans. I got 3 things that I could do. Move out of that arena. Or at least change the name of the arena from the Smoothie King Center.
That won't happen.
Change the uniforms and the colors.
I like the uniforms. You don't like the uniforms?
I don't mind the uniform.
I don't like the navy blues with the gold. I think the biggest thing is I don't like that they chose Pelican as their mascot.
Very strange mascot.
Very strange mascot, yeah. But I mean, it's the state bird, but who chooses the state bird?
Oh, that's true.
Fair, yeah.
Who chooses the state bird?
That's a strange state bird too. That's like a wild animal. Usually a state bird is like a.
Well, we got swamps and shit.
That's true. I guess it's pretty fitting then.
We got swamps and shit. Yeah, that's why it's a state bird.
Are there a lot of pelicans down there? Like, do you see pelicans rather frequently?
Yeah, I see them in the city. Not in the city, but you can see them. Yeah, they're all over.
I don't know if I've seen one.
Here's a question:
Finding Nemo, like pelican that can scoop like multiple species at once.
Yeah, you just see them eating fish. Yeah.
Do you guys ever have? Well, one thing I always noticed, I thought that the lighting in the arena was kind of dim. Maybe that's just how it looks on TV. But the other thing is, because we were talking to Tyler recently, and Hawks games have halftime performers. Do you guys have that, just being in New Orleans? Halftime rap shows and shit?
Yeah, like Manny Fresh and Cash Money, New Limit, yeah, they always do it.
That's so sick.
Opening night, they had Cash Money. They're Juvenile and Manny Fresh was there for opening night. So yeah, we do it all the time. But like I said, it's just not a sports town. It's the third time we had a team.
Yeah.
It's forcing it. It's the third time. Who gets 3 chances?
Right.
Who gets 3 chances to have a team? We in 05, we almost lost the Hornets to OKC. That's how they knew OKC should have an NBA team, because the Hornets, after Katrina, played in Oklahoma City. And actually the Saints played football up there too. And actually the Saints played football in San Antonio, because the San Antonio was going to take the Saints over, because they didn't know if they actually wanted to go back. So that's how they knew OKC could have basketball. But I mean, the OKC crowds are way more passionate than our crowds. They're one of the most passionate in the entire league.
For sure.
Our crowds look like nothing.
Yeah.
In comparison, it's not even close. So we'll be losing it soon. I hope Seattle can get them another team. They deserve one. Their fan base deserves one. It looks like they actually want one. So they didn't want to lose their first team.
Yeah.
So they deserve one, and more than likely it'll be ours. The best is just know how to run football, and they barely know how to do that these days.
Yeah, I remember they were called, like, for that year and a half, whatever it was, the Nook City Hornets, right? NOOK City Hornets.
That's a strange town.
Yeah.
Was that Chris Paul? That was Chris Paul Hornets, right?
Yeah, that's why I hate it.
It's wild.
Fucking Chris Paul. But
switching gears,
So it's not a football town. I'm sorry. I mean, it's not a basketball town.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a purely football town from top to bottom.
Keeping it New Orleans, you've been on record as saying that Lil Wayne this is 2018. Remember that one of the episodes I listened to, Lil Wayne was the best rapper. What do we? Which I think a lot of people would agree with. I'm a big Lil Wayne fan. Having seen the recent picture of him where he made a visit to a certain
oval shaped office.
Yeah, Chester Cheeto himself. What are your thoughts in reference to that?
All right. So that statement you made, that I made, no longer counts for anything at all. It means absolutely nothing.
Big asterisks.
He's nothing. He's nothing. Yeah.
Do you even listen to him anymore?
In the trash? No. You
what
put on the red hat. That
was. Oh yeah.
Put on the red hat. We're done. Yeah.
So was there any inkling about that relationship prior to that picture?
No, it's one of the most surprising and dumb.
No shit. That was so weird. At least like him and Kanye, it was like a slow build, right? They'd like do a few things together here and there. That was just like, I open up Twitter and it's like, I almost thought it was like a Photoshop, like some kid just like fucking around. And I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. And then I look at who it was from. 45 himself. Right there.
You would have thought that fucking outfit was photoshopped onto his body.
His Ron Weasley sweater, oversized. Yeah, that was strange.
Well,
that was a strange afternoon.
I can do this with artists. I do it all the time. Well, I can just be done with it. I don't, the separating the art from the whatever, I just can't do that. It's just not one of my things. So Kanye, we're done. R. Kelly, we've been done. Wayne, done. Ice Cube, done. And we just move on. You know, I've been getting more and more into politics because I think it's most important now to do it more than anything.
Yep.
Whether, you know, whatever side you pick, whatever side you vote on, obviously, if I think you vote on one side, you may be a little off, but that's still your choice. I think it's important for all of us to get in politics. I think Wayne jumped on the Trump thing because I think he thinks Trump can do something for him in the case he has pending right now. And I think that maybe they could have helped him because he had a gun and drug charges, and it's now only gun charges. So if they find you with cocaine, pills, and everything else, and a gun, and they only charge you for the gun, you probably talk to somebody nice. You know. If he did that for that, then I understand it. But to me, it's still selling out. But that's on him, so it don't matter. But that statement no longer true.
Okay, I don't even remember the context around it. Like, what was the context around the picture? Was that him just basically coming out saying I'm supporting?
No, he was up there doing a fake handshake thing with them, and like I think Jared Kushner was up there too. And he was like, he heard us out. So I'm not sure what political plan that Lil Wayne and Ice Cube have.
Right.
That they think that in the name of the American people or for Black people, they think they can go up there and present something.
Right.
But yeah, not the case. Dummies, real dummies.
So that's interesting. So let's switch gears. Speaking of Jared Kushner and Lil Wayne, news came out recently about potential aliens besides those two being on planet Earth. I don't know if you saw the story. It was like, I think it was like an Israeli. What was this guy's title? Something to do with space.
He was the former like director of defense, specifically in relation to space. He was like the Star Wars representative.
Gotcha. Whatever. Like basically saying, yeah, these dudes are here. They've been here. Trump knows they're here. I'll hang up and listen. Like pretty much is what it came down to. Do you think there's any legitimacy to that story? Like, do you think there's? Thank you. I've always said this. I think you have to be
all this time.
Yeah, I think you have to be incredibly naive to think that the planet we live on is the only, you know what I mean? Only thing with people like us in the existence of life. That's just such a crazy concept to me that you would think that's true.
Makes no sense.
So I don't know. I'm excited to see. And we talked last time on one of our episodes. It's like, as long as it's like, you know, and people always do to like fucking movies from like the 50s. People think aliens on planet Earth means like a war. I traveled quite frequently before the pandemic. Like they might, the way we travel to Florida and California, aliens might travel from like planet to planet or like galaxy to galaxy. If it's a peaceful thing, they just want to come down and chill. I'm fine with a new species, you know, whatever.
But when is it ever peaceful?
Well, I don't know. That's what we have to wait and see.
When do new humans visit any other new land and they bring, peace?
Yeah,
that's humans, but that seems to be a nature thing. But obviously, I would think that they're far beyond regular thinking and feelings if they're able to space travel.
I think if they met with people from our current administration, I think they would be confident that, we're good here. Like, we are the superior intelligent force.
Yeah.
Like, we can just do whatever the fuck we want.
If they showed up here and they say, okay,
this is no rush.
Your most developed country. Your most developed country with your most developed leaders. Unfortunately, that could probably still be us.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes.
And that would mean that we would instantly have to go to war, because there's no way they would come to our planet and say, hey, you guys have been in for this amount of time. You have this amount of resources currently available. You've used this amount of resources, and it hasn't gone to anything really productive if you kind of think about it, right? So just the United States, we got a whole bunch of countries. We got Russia, China, a whole bunch of money.
Sure.
We spend trillions on missiles and shit. I'm pretty sure we can spend something else on something else. There's so many regular things that we can solve and figure out. I'm sure we could with just regular money. And aliens, I would definitely light this motherfucker up. But I do 100% believe it, because they leaked something. They did the Area 51 leak a couple months ago or last year. Yeah. But they leaked something before that. They've been slowly.
Always.
The FK files.
Yeah.
They leaked all of that stuff. So to me, he just kind of throws it out, and people don't follow it because we're so in tune with the big news. But they've been leaking that stuff out. Aliens, absolutely. This place is too weird to think. Pyramids, there's no way. There's no way pyramids is just people. Those things were 2 tons a piece.
Yeah.
Pulley systems and 2 tons a piece for something that's other things 200-300 feet high. I mean, that doesn't, to me, that's.
I haven't thought about pyramids in some time. Yeah, I have some questions. I don't know who has the answers, but I have some questions. Then there's those weird monolith things that have been showing up throughout the country.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't place them there, so I don't really know where they came from.
We just got a whole bunch of weird shit. I think a lot of the stuff we have on the as far as natural, it's from natural disasters and erosion and the mountains and all this crazy shit that the planet just does what it does. But the pyramids, there's no way. I can't believe people, just regular people. We could do it now, but it would be way harder to do it now.
Yes.
Than it was. They had a regular pulley system. We have cranes and shit, and it still would take years and years to do. So, aliens. I'm always in. I'm definitely in on aliens. Area 51 is been blocked off with armed guards for all this time for a reason.
Fair enough. Good. So
when
I like it.
I was gonna say, when the pandemic's over, I don't know if me, you, and Dan get a couple tickets out to Area 51 and see what's up.
Not getting shot. Yeah, they're definitely gonna shoot all 3 of us
on site.
On site.
Yeah, quick fade.
It's a highly sophisticated place. I've seen it before. I've been not been there, but I've seen it how they keep it. Yeah, they're not playing any games. Yeah, you're not coming close to that thing.
You remember when that was?
Figure out when people gonna run to it, what they were actually gonna do.
I remember that now. Yeah.
They're gonna shoot you.
No shit.
They're actually willing to shoot you. It's that type of place.
Of course they are. They have military grade weapons.
Yeah, you're gonna
on demand.
I want to see how that played out. If hundreds of people gonna do this,
that'd been fun to watch.
Well.
For anyone who forgot what fucking pre-pandemic life was like, I want to say that was around September of last year, where remember when that was remember when we could just, I don't know, kind of laugh at dumb shit like that, and we didn't have to worry about real shit like we do this year. And it was people wanted to do that run from anime into Area 51. They wanted to run the anime character, where it's the Naruto run, with your hands behind your back, and they wanted to see maybe we'll be fast enough to I don't know, dodge the bullets or something. But
target practice.
It's one of the worst decisions I've ever heard somebody attempt to make. Yeah, it's terrible. Horrible.
I would agree.
Another question I saw you bring up, and me and Dan actually went back and forth a little bit on this on Twitter, about how fucking people in the 17 and 1800s must have smelled like hot garbage on a summer day.
There's no way.
Let's get into it.
Okay. So soap and deodorant. There's no way none of that is even like close to being.
No, not even on the drawing board.
Like, all right, let's think of like, I'm not sure how old y'all are. When I was a kid, I'm 33. When I was a kid, we had like roll-on deodorant, right?
Yeah.
Roll-on deodorant didn't work at all. I was like 10 years old putting that shit on, and it melted away in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, I'm 31, and we both are. I don't remember what that is.
You don't remember roll-on deodorant? It's
no,
just
describe
deodorant,
that.
But it has the roll-on ball on it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Instead of the I don't know what
like the bar. Yeah.
Instead of the bar, it's just a rolling pad, and it had the deodorant scent on the pad, and it's
very strange. Yeah. I didn't buy into it.
That stuff didn't last in comparison to the stuff we have now.
Mm-hmm.
So 200 years ago, soap. I mean, what did they use? I don't even know what.
Well, I mean,
is it this?
What are they using? What kind of soap?
Something like that.
That looks kind of suspect, but
it's either a dildo or a roll-on deodorant. Can't really tell. But yeah, it's like a ball. It just continually rolls.
Yeah, it's just a roll-on ball.
But the other thing is, like, I'm sure these people all had maybe max like 2 sets of clothing, 2 or 3 sets of clothing. So you're not doing laundry. You're not daily like refreshing yourself. You might bathe, I don't know, every now and then. Like, I'm trying to think. When I was a little kid, I would take a bath once every, I don't know, couple of days, 2 or 3 days. So I'm assuming it's way less back in the day. People stunk. Their breath probably stunk. You ate shit and you didn't brush your teeth. I'm not sure I don't even know what like the toiletry situation was.
Presidents had like fucking wooden teeth.
For real.
They had like table legs for teeth, like chair legs for teeth, dude. And then when you took a shit, if you lived on the second floor, you just threw it out the window.
Mm-hmm. All right, standard operating procedure.
All right. Hey, that's standard.
Let it roll.
Yeah, it's just help the grass grow. That's all right there. That's okay.
That was
throwing shit out the window.
Yeah,
I don't want to throw too much judgment on that. But I know there's no fluoride. There's no like, what do you brush your teeth with? There's no, nobody knows what that is.
Mm-hmm.
When was toothbrush? Who
I don't know.
Toothbrush?
That's got to be like early 1900s. I'm guessing the toothbrush. If I had to guess,
I would feel toothbruch and toothpaste. I would hope would come out around the same time.
At least one of them.
Exactly. I'd argue the toothpaste is a little more important. Who invented the toothbrush and when was it invented? Yes, please.
I thought it was somewhere in like South America or something like that.
The answer, according to quote unquote various peoples, is 1938. That seems a little late to me.
World War II?
That's real late, dude. That's real late. Yeah, that's late.
However, early forms of the toothbrush have been in existence since 3000 BC. Ancient civilization used the chew stick, which was a thin twig with a frayed end. These chew sticks were rubbed against the teeth. That seems counterproductive. That can't be better than not brushing your teeth.
No.
Taking a stick and just running it through your mouth.
See, I assume it was probably some person that like had a mint leaf.
Yeah, okay.
And like chewed on it, and they felt a fresh breath feeling from a mint leaf, and they just moved on from there.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like the first dude who really came out with like a fresh set of brushed teeth, teeth was just a killer, like for a short period of time.
If there was this thinking in the 1800s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think of like year 300, or like was Alexander the Great 300? It's like 500, something like that.
People lived till like 20. Yeah.
What the fuck were they doing? They were like shitting in I don't know what they were doing.
They would just do it. It was probably just part of life. You'd
they
stop.
Had the toiletry system, like old Roman. They had the toilet system, but Jesus Christ, because regular motherfuckers out here stinking today. Bad.
I'd love to find. Well, unfortunately, it's before like a legit firsthand documentary from that time would be so dope. But obviously, then that's impossible. Even just like a legit I've always wondered too, like how we have history of things from literally like 3000 BC, because it's all based on people talking, writing it down, someone finding it, adding to it, not only adding to it, but telling the other person, you know what I mean? It's just like this ongoing layering of stories.
It's a lot of lying motherfuckers too. Yeah.
That's what I mean. We have no idea what anything was like. I'd argue as recent as like 200 or 300 years ago. I have no idea what 1800s like, because everything in a history book is a painting or like a fucking drawing. You can paint whatever you want. Now, like, the ball don't lie. Like, there's no escaping. Everything's on a camera phone.
Like, just think about, you know, how recent the stuff we enjoy today, how recent all of them is. I was tweeting about it the other day, like cell phones. You know, I got my first smartphone in 2000, maybe 8. Well, I don't think I would count the Nextel chirps as smartphones. I don't count those as smartphones. No. That's more like 2006. So 2000, I guess 10 or 11, when you get music on your phone and different things like that. But I mean, that was a long time ago. I mean, it's not a long time ago, but think about how far we've come in the last 10 years in comparison to, you know, 1800s, you know, whatever else they were doing.
Well, now it's just like everything, not even the cell phone, but just in general, like everything being documented. Everything is documented now. That's as recent as like 10, maybe even like 5 years, really. Like 10 years ago, we had smartphones, we had Facebook, but more recently, we've seen it this year more than ever. Like Twitter is really the go-to real time. Like when I'm looking for news, I go to Twitter because it's like someone can post this. I can see a tweet that says like posted 56 seconds ago. You know what I mean? And it's someone in DC marching around or something like that. Like everything is recorded now. And you see it like come back to haunt people too. Like in athletes specifically, one of my biggest pet peeves, if you want to call it that, is sports drafts where the first thing you'll see, a player will get drafted, Twitter refresh 5 seconds later. Here's a bunch of suspect shit this kid tweeted 15, 20 years ago. That is like that is so like beyond infuriating. Like it's crazy because you can't do that with anyone else before this year because it didn't exist. Like Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley definitely could have said some shit when they were teenagers. Doesn't matter because, you know, Twitter wasn't there. You know, and granted, sometimes it's legit. Like if they say truly like, you know, like racial or hateful or something bad, that's fine that it's being brought up. But it's like, okay, this kid, a 22-year-old college graduate, I wouldn't hold to the same standard when he was fucking 12. I think that's ridiculous. Like that's absolutely ridiculous. And it's one of the sadder parts of like the Twitter world now.
And that's kind of the pushback on cancel culture. And that's one of my pushbacks.
Exactly,
that's my only pushback on it. Because I do believe, even myself included, if you say stupid shit, you deserve at least to get humiliated by it.
Yeah, that's
like
fine.
At the very least, if you know, I may not want you to lose your job, but I can at least call you a dumbass for a long amount of time for doing this. But when there's no context to a statement or what you're accusing somebody of, that's when it becomes dangerous. Because 2011, you know, people always talking about 2011 Twitter, whatever. We were a lot dumber back then. There's a lot of words I used back then I don't use now. I was still a grown ass man then, but you get smarter, and there's still a lot of things you don't use. And it can be small words. I barely say a bitch anymore like I used to, you know, 8 or 9 years ago. It's just it's not for any other reason. I just decided I could insult people with better words that I didn't have to curse them out.
Well, you're more mature. Like that makes perfect sense. People 100%, like definitely. Like I think one of the worst things I do is like if I go on like Facebook memories or some shit, like some of the stuff I put, not that it's like bad, but just like the way I talked and like carried myself like 10 years ago, it's like, dude, this guy's a fucking loser. Like I would not want to be friends with this douchebag. It just is what it is. And again, it to your point, like, yes, there are some things, you know what I mean? Like stories coming out about like R. Kelly or something like that. Yeah, no shit. Like that's a bigger deal. Like fuck this guy. You know what I mean? But I don't know, someone coming out and trying to think of an example, but just saying something stupid. It's like, okay, I get it, but let's move on. But anyway, the point is everything is archived now. There's no escaping anything you've ever said, ever, one way or the other, which can be good, can be bad. But I think it also helps people, to your point, be a little more relevant now. Like if I know everything I'm saying and one way or the other is going to be recorded, probably gonna watch my mouth a little bit more than just like whatever. But
it forces you to get smarter. It forces you to use different words. It just forces you to just become more mature. There's a lot of things I learned just from Twitter. I would say being around people, but you're not around people on Twitter. But you might as well be around them when you're hearing
especially
them how they're
nowadays.
talking. And it's basically how it is. So learning all these words that I thought were regular words and were regular words to me growing up, not curse words, just small shit. It hurts people's feelings. All right, cool.
Yeah.
I can insult people with other words that are not those words. And finding ways to insult people is something I like to do. So hey, especially in the workplace, you can say certain words that'll trigger a certain person. Like I know this motherfucker just called me stupid, but I can't really say it because he said it in such a sly way.
Yeah.
But that's the type of insults I think they hit a lot more for me. It's a lot better.
Even like TV shows, like I'll go back and watch like The Office, which I think at the time and even now, that was like a primetime 8:00 cable network show. Not that it was like TVMA bad, but you'll watch some like Steve Carell episodes and it's like, you definitely can't say that anymore.
Yeah.
Like he's not dropping like, F-bombs or, N-word obviously or anything like that. But it's like, yeah, that wouldn't fly anymore. But 14-year-old me 10 years ago or 20-year-old me was probably like, oh, this is the funniest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life.
And it's just a course of getting smarter. It's just a course of getting smarter. It's just a course of just evolution.
Yeah.
It's just how things go. Look at the shit on TV, because actually the shit on TV is way worse than what we used to watch. People are saying like shit on TNT. You can say shit.
Good point. Actual like censorship. Yeah, 100%. FX is like HBO pretty much now.
Yeah,
crazy.
Like the censorship is somehow extended.
Yeah.
But what we say is not as extended anymore. But the shit on TV, you can do whatever you want on TV. I was watching UFC. It's cursing up a storm on ESPN.
Yeah.
They even bleep it out.
Yeah.
They just pay a fine after, and it just is what it is. So, hey, I don't mind it. It's a little evolution for me. Shit.
That's what I don't understand either, and that's a really good point, because a lot of times, like, you even see commercials that are a little more scandalous than before, or like sexually suggestive shit like that. But actually, I'm glad you brought up UFC, because you're a huge UFC guy, right?
Oh yeah. I like UFC more than regular fucking sports these days, to be honest.
So I mean, I pretty much don't really know much about UFC at all. So like, what would you say to someone like me to kind of sell me on it? And like, I've been meaning to watch more of it, but what's like the biggest draw, or what do you like about it the most? Just how like raw and tough it is?
It's just the best people fight the best people. That's basically what it is. If you notice, if you remember boxing, not remember boxing, it's not like not like we 60 years old here, but boxing in the 60s and 70s, you heard about Foreman and Ali and Frazier, and Ali and Sonny Liston. They all fought each other because they were the best of the best. And when you want to say you're the best, you fight the best, whether you're in your prime or you're not in your prime, or it's better when you are in your prime. 80s boxing is the same way. Sugar Ray Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, they all fought each other. Boxing this way is not really that way. In the UFC, it is their way. The best fighters ever, they have some losses behind their names, but because you have to play the best people, you have to fight the best people. So to me, every fight is like the playoff. There's no regular season. So that's why it's just a lot more intense, and you get to see the best people playing every time. Not playing, I always say playing, but fighting. No matter what, the best people are fighting each other, and I really like that. And MMA fans don't care about losses, because they understood the schedule that you had to get to a championship. They understand that. So that's what I would say would be the best thing about the UFC, is because of the competition. It's nothing but competition every time. No matter if you turn on a free show on ESPN or if you watch pay-per-view. It's not like I work for fucking UFC now, but it's just competition all the time. I really appreciate that the best people are fighting the best people all the time. I think that's cool.
You ever been to a live show?
Not yet. I was supposed to go to a Houston one they had last year, and I just didn't go to it. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because the judges there were terrible. They were throwing like drinks and shit at the people in the ring. So kind of at the Octagon. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't go.
The judges were?
Yeah. So when like they have state sanctioned judges. So in Texas and Los Angeles, wherever, they all have their own judges. You know, the Nevada or Texas Athletic Commission, they hire the judges, they hire the referees to work the fights. And sometimes these judges are boxing judges and not UFC judges. So a lot of stuff that goes on the ground, a lot of jujitsu and a lot of things, they don't know what those things are because they're used to just punches. They're not used to kicks or anything else. So sometimes you get a lot of really, really, really bad decisions. And this is one of those times they wasn't playing it. So it was kind of after the fight, a couple people threw some Miller Lights, hit the Octagon. That's it. Nothing crazy. It wasn't a riot. Some 20-ounce Coca-Colas and Pepsis hit the Octagon. That's about it.
I did mean to ask you, have you ever been to a Saints game? Like, have you ever been to that Superdome?
Yeah.
Is that a crazy tailgate experience? Because up here in New England, like, there's too many the people that go to the games for the most part are the rich people. So it's annoying. It's like they price out the people who are actually fans. But what's it like down there?
It's kind of, you know what? The prices are actually really fucking good. It's actually not like that at all because New Orleans is segregated, but it's kind of not like that. The Saints have always been a working class team, and then the arena is not like it's in a fancy area. It's downtown New Orleans, but downtown New Orleans is not like, you know, the suburbs. So you got everybody around it. So most of the people that live around the Superdome can't afford suites and all this type of stuff. So the prices are actually pretty good, pretty competitive in comparison to most places. But there's also, in comparison to New England and y'all area, there's not a legacy of winning for 20 years straight. So you can look at how Golden State did their tickets when they were winning for 6 years straight. All of a sudden now you can't even go to a Golden State ticket. They moved the whole team. It's in San Francisco now. So I think arenas just do that, and maybe teams just do that when you just winning too much or just winning a lot. But yeah, the prices are pretty competitive.
As long as you don't get stuck with like the Bills coming to town, because then like we said earlier, I think it's
who knows.
I think even when they travel, I want to say they probably bring those tables to road games too. And smash everyone's head through it.
Games, and it was out there. And it was here in Houston with tables. I'm like, did somebody stop at a fucking Lowe's? Like, they were here with tables, slamming each other through tables. And, you know, I don't know how far away New York State is from here. It's pretty far. So they're a traveling group, you know, and they're a dangerous traveling group at that.
This is my last one for you, bro, and we'll let you go. This is something that we brought up in a previous episode with. I know that you at least used to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Are you still a wrestling fan?
I have nothing to do with this statement, FYI.
A huge wrestling fan. What's wrong with wrestling?
No. What Soapy's about to say. Okay. I'm a huge wrestling mark. So
all right. So we brought it up on a previous episode, and then I asked Tyler if the joke was in bounds, if it was foul or fair. And I want your take on it.
Okay.
So we were talking with some kids who are huge wrestling fans, and I said, man, isn't it crazy that what happened with Owen Hart, that was all just a setup to get to a storyline with The Undertaker, and it's crazy that they went that far to sell it. Is that a good joke, or is that out of bounds?
Whew, okay.
A lot to unpack here.
All right, I'm gonna say it's out of bounds. Just
foul.
Based off of, not even based off of, you know, somebody dying, because I probably got 1,000 jokes about that, but I don't know, just because of how Owen died, it may be, you know, that's why.
It was on live television.
It was on live television.
I was 8.
I'm glad I didn't see it. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
No, I didn't. I didn't see it live. I remember. It was on a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And it was like, I didn't get the pay-per-view, but what I remember, they pretty much cut out and came back to JR and King, just like, and it's tough because like it's wrestling. So it's like, it's tough to, and no matter what you say, you assume it's like a storyline, but they're like, I can't stress this enough. This is real. Like this isn't a script. This guy is dead. And I was like, oh wow, this is quite a to your point, Vince is pulling quite a line here. And then it's like, okay, yep. Then I think it got real the next night. Remember, Raw had like an Owen Hart like memorial, and like Raw opened, it was like R.I.P. whatever. And I was like, oof, oh shit.
You know, the wildest thing is that they actually finished the whole fucking thing. I would have told the fans this time.
100%. I've always said that. They had a quick 5-minute thing, and then here comes Stone Cold. Like, let's.
And then like the whole atmosphere. He's like screaming from the thing. He's screaming people to get out the way. Like he's not even screaming for help. He's telling motherfuckers get out the way, and he hits the turnbuckle. Mm-hmm. So this is like, it's like 10 times worse. That's why that joke is not. You know, if you switch somebody else with Owen, maybe I don't know who's death is.
An old, like fat, drugged out guy who wrestlers die every day. That was a little different. That was a tragedy. So again. Soapy thinks it's hilarious. I don't know. But
I don't think it's hilarious.
The joke is inbounds because I think most jokes are inbounds. Owen Hall makes it out of bounds.
That's a fair answer.
But the joke is inbounds.
Was he, and I'm not trying to get into like the fucking gory aspect of it, but was he right side up when it happened, or was he upside down? Like, did he get flipped?
He was right side up. He came flat. He came down flat.
Yeah. So he hit his neck, right? He broke his neck, right? Like his neck. Oof. Crazy.
Wow.
Well, because he was trying to. I guess your immediate. We're ending this on a terrible note, but I guess your immediate reaction is to try to catch yourself, even though you know it's not possible.
Right.
But fuck, you got to try. I would try. I guess he tried, but. Yeah, saddest podcast ending of all time. Thanks a lot.
R.I.P. Owen Hart.
No, all right. We'll end it really on this. Tell the people where we can find your content, follow along, listen to everything that you do. I know you're huge into Twitch, and I gotta watch some more of that. But tell us where you're at.
You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/WardySign, and also my YouTube, youtube.com/WardySign. And it's just me, you know, doing whatever I do, talking, jumping to a bunch of games, trying out new games. I'm going to start a series where we do content on free games. Why is my phone going crazy all of a sudden? Where we do content on free games, and I show people you don't have to
Owen
pay
Hart
$60,
thing, so
$70. It must be, I think it is Owen telling me to come on home. Not that home, must be another home.
Oh boy! Speaking of cancel culture,
on free games, because these games are going up. The game's gonna be $70 new gen, $70.
Damn.
The games are $70. So we went to everybody bought a new console for $500.
Yeah.
And there's no new games that came out with it besides Cyberpunk that just came out. There's nothing new until like February. So you have a new console to play all your old games on, pretty much. And I think that's fucking horrible for us to all spend more to play the exact same game. So anybody you see they got a PlayStation, PS5, Xbox, they're probably playing 2K or Madden, which is the same fucking game they've been playing for the last 20 years. So I like to get into game reviews, free games, games that people actually are game makers who want you to enjoy a game and not just buy the same game every single year. 2K and Madden are the same game every single year. Call of Duty the same game every year. I know it because I play them every single year. I don't buy them, but I play them. So I know they're the same. So I like people to think the opposite and maybe do the opposite. But I doubt that'll happen.
All right, cool.
I'll try.
All right, bro. Well,
all right, Woody.
Yeah, we'll post the links to everything that you do, and we definitely love to have you back in the future. Maybe
anytime, man. I appreciate y'all, man.
Later on the NBA season, and we'll try to end the next one on a different note.
Okay, Louise.
Yeah, we can talk a little wrestling and start it off next time.
Let's do it.
We need your food takes next time too, so we'll touch on some food next time.
Ready to roll.
Thank you, brother.
All right,
bro.
All right.
Peace.